The company is developing quite fast, and currently it's changing its shape, which means it comes from being a classical PV module manufacturer with all the value chain behind it and all the quality management, certification, addressing customers, etc. So now, as the company has developed a very mature sales infrastructure and a technical support infrastructure, we now leverage existing customer relationships to get into the market with all the products you need for self-energy generation, self-energy consumption. So it's not anymore only about PV modules, it's about green home. And green home stresses the fact that the majority of things in this sector happen close to the residential sector or on industrial rooftops. So you could stress the term home also for industrial buildings, if you like. The brand name Virtus just stresses the fact that inside this module there's the Renesola wafer. Because historically, Renesola comes from doing ingots. That means it's about the production of polysilicon crystals. And the grain structure, or the structure of this material, determines the performance. And it determines also the quality in terms of defects of cells. You know, the better the wafer is, the better the cell becomes. You know, so the Virtus modules are based on those wafers. Renesola produces something more than 2 gigawatts of PV wafer and PV modules. You know, so we do a lot more wafers than PV modules, and we sell those high-class wafers to the world, to all the first-tier brands. But we also use it for our own products. And this is expressed by the Virtus brand name. And that's why, you know, such a classical 60-cell module, for example, has a much higher performance than all the others, than all the classical polysilicon cells have, you know. And that's behind the brand name Virtus. This module we have here is the Virtus 1, we say. It's a quasi-monocrystalline module. The background technically is the ingot is made classically in a polycrystalline way, which means you're melting the virgin polycrystalline and you're just casting an ingot which is cooling down, and thereby the crystal structure evolves. And as a company is able to adjust and develop furnaces where you can control how to get rid of the heat, and as we work with a starting germ in here, we get a perfect monocrystalline structure. And what the company learned by the R&D when they were developing this product, they took away this knowledge to invent a completely new ingot for the classical polycrystalline modules, which is the Virtus 2. So this technology, which was developed in the beginning of last year, is already not anymore in focus, because the Virtus 2, which is the successor of this technology, is now the cash cow, because it's just out-competing everybody due to this technology. To apply a PV module, you do not only need a PV module. You need the rack system or the mounting system, so the supporting infrastructure or structure. You need the inverter to be able to make use of the electricity, and you need a battery storage system. Maybe it's not a must, but at some occasions it makes sense. And then on the energy consumption side, the most obvious use of electricity is lighting. So this describes already what the Renesola is going to do, or what we already do. So what we introduce here in the moment, or what we show here, are our key products, which is still the PV module. But here we also show the microinverter we can provide and the inverter we can provide. My personal impression is that the people being in the microinverter segment, from the research and development point of view, all attended the same classes in specific universities, so they know each other very well. And I have the impression that those young and wild people said, hey, string inverter guys, we have a better idea than yours. We're doing it in a very small box called the microinverter, okay? The major point is it lasts a lot longer than your string inverters for technical reasons. And it enables people to have a lot more of advantages than the string inverter concept, like you can cope with shadows. You can monitor the installation on the module base. You will be able to install it based on the alternative current, which is much more secure for the installer. And it's also to some extent much more secure for the building, you know, because you have not those high voltages with light bulbs, with the danger of light bulbs and so on. And a lot more people can do the installation because they do not have the need for such a elaborate education or formation to be able to install it. So a lot of advantages of this concept. Yes, and so the microinverter guys are challenging the string inverter guys. And the good news is Renesola does both. We introduce a microinverter, but we also provide string inverters, because it's also, you know, when you have a beautiful roof with no shadowing at all, and you will be able to install 100 kilowatts, okay, string inverters make perfectly sense. But in the classical situation where you're going to install, let's say, up to 10 kilowatts or up to 6 kilowatts on a rooftop with chimneys and the like, or, you know, and you don't do it every day, the microinverter is the better choice. You know, so it depends a little on what are you looking at. The basic idea about the product is that, as you probably know, the semiconductor of the PV module, it's DC, but the grid has alternative current AC. So the microinverter brings the current down to AC, just on the level of the panel, which means from the panel onwards, you're on the AC side. And that's a real advantage, because you get rid of all this wiring on a DC basis, which is not that easy. You need special cables. To some extent, it's dangerous, or it can be dangerous for people which are not really educated in the field. This is a Micro Re Plus microinverter. It's different to its brothers. It comes with the cables and the connector, you know, so you're ready to go. And every panel gets its own inverter, and here it connects with its next neighbor, and there you connect it to the grid. And it's communicating with the communication device, if you like, and by the communication device you can see what's going on in there. And you can see, if you like, you can see also on the website, you can monitor your installation. It's certificated for all the major markets. As we were able during our R&D to take advantage of products which have been developed before, we started to cope with some major issues of the microinverter technology, which is the anti-islanding is on board. So there's no need anymore to buy extra devices and the like, you know. So this is very mature. It's prepared to cope with everything a grid needs, which is mature and which has a lot of renewables in it.